I'm Varun.
I'm just Paddy B, keeping you informed.
Let's talk some differences between the United Kingdom and the U.S. Everyday experiences that mostly I have experienced, but as you travel abroad or to the U.S. or to the U.K., some things that you will see or not see when you go to the different countries. Some so you know Being the studious person that I am, I made a list of things that you're going to see over here in the UK, and some things you're going to see in the US. Recently moved here about 3.5 years ago, so I've seen things from a different light than what most people have seen living here, never traveled to the US. A big thing for me is shopping. Shopping is a big thing. We all do it, but the experiences are a little bit different. Um, Number one on my list is chip and pin, contactless shopping, swipe shopping, or paying cash.
Well, the swipe shopping is in America. You just swipe and sign.
Yeah, swipe and sign.
You can swipe and sign here, but generally speaking, your bank usually blocks that, so you aren't really allowed to do that. That's why we have chip and pin or contactless.
Yeah. I found that the chip and pin or the contactless systems are really easy for shopping and make the whole process
As long as you don't
faster.
forget your pin.
Exactly. Don't forget your pin. uh, what else? Oh, some shops I've noticed that they don't bag your stuff for you. You have to do it yourself.
I mean, to be fair, when we first started living here, you did get asked. They would have people like walking about, and they would ask, "Oh, do you need help?" And you're just like, "Well, no, it's fine. Like, I'll do it."
Yeah.
But that seems to have stopped, like in the last 5 years. Really, they don't really do it at all now. So there's no one to really help you. And as we know, there are some stores in the UK that literally will chuck them at you. So you have to kind of catch them and try and get them into the trolley and stuff as quickly as you possibly can. I kind of appreciate it because I take it as a game, but I'm not of the thing of trying to do it slowly. So
Yeah.
I'm up for getting in and out of a superstore as quickly as possible. So I like it, but
Yeah, and then the majority of the shops or the bigger supermarkets in the States, they will bag your stuff for you. And they'll actually have a person designated as the put your items in the bag and then put it in the trolley. And then some of them will actually go out with you to the car park.
I mean,
So,
that's kind of similar to how we get our petrol. It's called gas in America. I would say in most gas stations, you have someone there doing it for you.
yeah.
Whereas here, you kind of have to do it yourself. They obviously brought in systems in here where you can pay at the station itself as well, which I did notice you can do in America, but someone still fills the car for you.
That's actually very select states that do that. In Oregon State, on the west coast of America, it's actually illegal for you to get out of your car and pay for your pay for the fuel and then pump your own fuel. You're not allowed to do that.
So who is the idiot that blew up a gas station?
There's there's an attendant that literally, when you drive up, will ask you what you want and then how much you want, and then you either sit in the car or you can get out of your car, but you're only allowed to go to the shop to buy something and then come back. So the whole process of doing the fuel, you can't put your hands on it.
Well, I guess it kind of makes sense, but
Yeah.
someone's done something there for them to bring
Well,
that
I guess
around.
it's twofold, because then that gives somebody a job,
Well,
right?
sure.
Yeah, somebody gets a job from that.
Yeah, but there's no minimum wage, so even if they are doing that job, they're not getting paid enough to live.
Oh, yeah, that's another discussion, isn't it? Minimum wage. Okay, so some other differences that I've noticed here in the UK is when I first got here, I kept referring to the roads and streets, zebra and toucan crossings as crosswalks. They literally have crosswalks or sidewalks. Yeah, we call pavement over here. So,
Well, are you wearing pants?
or yeah, trousers, joggers. Yeah, exactly. So there are some language differences for the
Yeah.
same objects. Like, I
Well,
think,
as we've all watched comedians before, we all know about the joke about Americans use words that explain what it is
right,
rather than just naming it.
right. So like eyeglasses instead of glasses,
Yeah.
or my favorite, horseback riding instead of horse riding. Yeah. So we had to make sure we specify we're going to be
Yep.
on the back of the horse, and not
As
on the
opposed to its face,
right,
or trying to grip underneath it,
or
which
hold
would
the
just be
tail.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So back into traveling. Traveling from say Manchester to London seems like an arduous task. It takes about 4, 5, 6 hours depending on traffic. And you're going 200 miles, 250 miles,
Yeah.
something to that range. 200 miles in Texas, for instance, would only be a third of the way from San Antonio to Dallas.
Yeah.
So you've got a ways to go, or maybe halfway to Dallas. So obviously the size of the states compared to England is great.
I mean, there's probably very few states where the UK as a whole is actually bigger, like maybe bigger than Rhode Island.
Yeah.
But what else? What else? What other states are there that are tiny enough to say, well,
Delaware, Rhode Island, Massachusetts is pretty small considering. Maine's pretty big, but those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
yeah.
Those are the smallest states, really.
So when it comes to like traveling on foot or by car, it's a bit arduous because it's more. Well, no, you're not just going 50 miles down the road. You're going 1,000.
Yeah, well, another big change or thing that I've noticed when I got here is I used to live at my mate's house, and I was able to literally walk out the house, walk down the road half a mile, and I was down at town center.
Mm.
And I walked on the pavement the whole way. I had zebra crossings going across. Safety for the pedestrians is number one, I think, here in this country, where it's a little bit different than the States, where it's kind of like you're playing chicken across the road.
Well, you're not supposed to cross the road anyway. That's jaywalking.
Yeah, true. But you get fined for that, for jaywalking, if you're caught, of course. That's a big thing.
We do not encourage jaywalking.
No, we
it's
don't.
It's not safe for you.
No. Planes. Wow. Trains. The train systems in Europe and in England are, in my opinion, except for some issues that happened lately, but are for the most part pretty efficient. They may cost a little bit, but you're going to get to where you got to go.
Well, I think if we're comparing it to the US, we'll say we are definitely more efficient than the US system. The US doesn't really have the same infrastructure for trains where you could get a train all the way from New York to California. It's a lot more difficult than that. You can, but it's not easy. Whereas here, if you wanted to get a train from Glasgow all the way down to London, it's pretty easy. It's maybe only one change. And even you can get a train all the way from London straight to Paris. So
Yeah.
there is a train system there. There isn't one in America.
Well,
So we can obviously comment on the efficiency of the UK system. Like a lot of other places do it better, but we're just comparing it to the Americans, which doesn't have one. So
yeah, I mean they have an infrastructure, but it's not passenger based. It's more freight and commercial based.
yeah, they obviously do have systems for local areas, but they're more tram systems and train.
Yeah.
So obviously they'll have a local infrastructure that's very similar to what London has and what Manchester has as an internal system. But going from each place, no, they don't have that.
Yeah. So the best way to get from San Antonio to Dallas per se is either take a flight or drive. And the rest stops. There you go. So in the States there are no rest stops in the way that they are here. So traveling from when I first got here, first drove up from
service stations.
So I crossed from Calais to I think it was Dover. I think it was. Got off the ferry, drove onto the road. In about half a mile, I saw a service station. I'm gonna stop here. I get some refreshments or whatever before I go. And I'm thinking that there's not going to be a lot. I thought I'll just get a soda or something and then carry on. Use the loo. No. Service stations here apparently have Costa, a Burger King.
And it rotates, so obviously
Smith.
You'll get either a Costa or a Starbucks, and then you'll definitely get a McDonald's or a Burger King. And then some places have the American chain Serrero.
Yeah. Well, plus they also have lodging as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, lodging. Wow, lodging. I wish I had lodging. My trip from Las Vegas to San Diego, so it was going from one state to the next. Took me about a day to get there and travel. I either had to pull off the motorway to a town that had hotels in it,
Yeah.
or I'd stop at a rest stop that had a loo and a place to park your car.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to sleep over more than 8 hours, and if you are, you'll be ticketed and told to move. So it's really inconvenient for drivers to have to drive a long way
Yeah.
in America, and that's unfortunately you drive a lot in America. That's why it's like, please, can we have service stations that have all the accommodations to think driver safety.
Yeah.
It goes back into driver safety. So yeah. Other differences I've noticed was the overall curiosity of the English. So obviously I have an accent. Try to place it in the comments below. I have an accent from America, but where is that accent from? And I get asked the question all the time, hey, where are you from? Oh, well, obviously they picked up all from the States, but they could never place where I was from.
That's because it's not as easy as a one-word answer. That's why.
Yeah, it's a long, complicated answer. But that's what I've noticed, the curiosity of the English to pick up on, that. And then they would ask me questions like, what are you doing here? Or things like that. But I think overall they're curious more than anything else. What do you think about the Americans, how they are when you visited, when you were?
Well, my experience of America is just from visiting twice. I mean, I went for a month, all down the side of the East Coast. So flew into Boston, drove down. Well, I didn't drive. My mom drove down to Florida, stopping at a few places. We spent a good period of time in Washington. We also brought in the New Year's in New York. So we didn't really interact that much with it, but we just got to see it from a tourist perspective. So it's very difficult to compare the countries at that level. I find that the American people were friendlier, albeit that they were more in your face and talkative. So here it's like, I'm not saying it's not here, because you do have it. Like, you can walk down the street in certain places here and be like, oh, hi. And how's your day going, stuff like that. You don't really stop and have a chat, but you have like a passing comment. In America, because walking isn't really a thing, you do kind of get it, but only at a place. So if you walk into a hotel, you might get some friendly people that will talk to you for hours. If you go to a pub, you'll get friendly people to talk to you for hours. But then you get the same thing here at a pub. I find that because of the way I grew up, and obviously Ireland being a hot button topic here, it was a bit different for my experience of friendliness. But generally, I find both people as a whole friendly. I just find the Americans more friendly. But that's because I think you can open up and have a conversation with American far easier than you can a Brit. But a Brit is more likely to be interested. If you know what I mean, because of what you said, they're more inquisitive. They're gonna ask the right questions rather than just talking for talking's sake. I mean, no offense, but I mean, no offense to anyone, but Americans can kind of go on and on about something,
they can,
and not really get anywhere in a conversation. Whereas when you're talking to a Brit, you're gonna get something out somewhere in that conversation, because they're either curious about you or they're curious about what you're talking about. Even if they're polite or not polite, they're generally just curious. So they're going to start asking you things. My main thing when I visited was that just everything is just bigger in America. Like, their cities are ginormous. Their food portions are ginormous. Their actual just people are taller, not going with the whole size because I'm big as well, but their people are generally taller. Like, I felt as if I was walking down the road and I was like, oh, people that are taller than me, yay.
Well, I mean, Texas has the motto, everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, but I think that just applies to America as a whole, to be honest. I mean, I'm not just the portion sizes. Like, even your, not portion sizes, but your shopping sizes, you get everything by the bulk naturally, whereas we will pop into a supermarket here and just pick up something that will do for a week. You pick up something that will do for a month.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the shops in America are like Costco. They're humongous.
Yeah.
For what reason? I don't know, but they are.
I mean, it's hard what the drawback is because one of the things I think you wanted to mention was the cost of stuff.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
cost of thing is because it's bigger, it's more expensive.
yeah. Well, there's yeah. You know, doing your weekly shop, I could probably get away with if it was just me. Maybe about if I'm getting things I need, about 100 quid. Double that price in the States. But another part of it is too is the freshness of the food in this country. You know, bread doesn't last 4 years. It lasts a week and maybe 2 weeks
Yeah.
max.
The only
There's so many
thing,
preservatives in the food.
the only thing is though, is that as we kind of go more and more into it, things are becoming more and more preservative
Yeah,
based. Because even bread was nicer 10 years ago. I don't know what the heck they've done to bread, but it's just nowhere near as nice and doesn't it 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 stays fresher longer,
mm,
but it doesn't taste as nice. And it
yeah,
also gives me problems, if I'm being honest. I'll get stomachache if I have too much bread.
yeah.
And I'll go from eating a couple of sandwiches a week to having to have no bread for a while. Was it gluten?
Gluten,
I'm not, I don't have a,
gluten free problem or wheat problem.
yeah, I don't have a wheat problem. So it isn't that because I can eat other wheat based products perfectly fine. If I
Mm,
make my own homemade bread, I don't have any problems. The only problem that I have with making homemade bread is that you literally only have like a day and a half to eat it before it starts going a bit stale or a bit funny.
yeah.
So you do kind of waste a lot if you start making it.
Hmm.
But generally, when it comes to preservative food, it is starting to trickle in here as well. And it's
Yeah,
just unfortunate. Like the one thing I will say is chlorinated chickens. It's against the law to chlorinate your
yeah,
chickens here because of European policies, but it's also against the law in England. So obviously, the other things I would say that America does bigger is Halloween.
oh
Halloween
yeah,
is so popular in America. It's not non-existent here. Like it's treated as more of a kid under 13. You want to take them out and like get some candy from your neighbors, but people don't really take it that seriously. Bonfire night is taken a lot more seriously
hmm,
here. So we let fireworks off. So Halloween's just been more tacked on as a starting to that, but it's not taken as
yeah,
seriously as in America. They then have like one of the things when I went there that I found very surprising was a lot of the infrastructure. So your airports, your hotels, your cities look a lot more run down because they seem to be stuck in the 70s and 80s.
yeah,
There's no infrastructure maintenance being done, whereas in the UK there's been extensive maintenance done pure and simply because our buildings weren't from the 80s or 70s. Our buildings were literally from the late 1800s
yeah,
going
yeah,
on early 19s, so we had to. I think America's going to get to that point pretty soon because you're looking a bit run down.
yeah, yeah. And well, I mean, we use cheap materials. We do jobs quickly, and we do them a lot. We do big lots of them.
Yeah.
So that can lead to issues. Like a lot of our buildings. I mean, the home I had purchased back when I was younger, it was made in the 70s and was falling apart,
Yeah.
literally falling apart. And I bought it in the 90s, only 20 some years later.
Yeah.
And the literally the base was doing that. So to get back to your Halloween thing, I don't want to get off topic too much. And that is, as a kid, I loved Halloween. Love dressing up in the masks and the Halloween costumes and um, going out for candy and sweets, uh, stealing other kids' sweets because that was a fun thing to do.
Mhm.
Uh, Doing the corn mazes. There's corn mazes. Big gigantic cornfields. And they'll cut a maze through it, and then you're obviously the whole idea of it is to get through the maze.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Pumpkin harvesting. So you'll find that there are tons of sellers of pumpkins and squash and you name it.
Yeah.
The idea is go out and get the biggest and best pumpkin, carve it up, put it in your front door, and that's it.
Mhm.
And then don't forget, they like autumn so much over there. They even got pumpkin spice lattes.
I mean, you can get a pumpkin spice latte here.
Yeah, but it's been a thing in the States for many, many years.
It's been a thing here for many, many years.
So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. We've talked a little bit about some of the everyday experiences between America and the UK. Please give us your thoughts down in the comments below. Give us a like. Hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.